Alright, this is a nice spring project, and I have a couple of these around our house. Planter boxes, window boxes, whatever you'd like to call them. They basically sit below a window and hold pots that hold plants. There are some people that will make these where they fill them with dirt and plant right in them. You can buy a lot of plastic ones that will allow you to do that. I tend to prefer those that just accept a pot inside of them, and you can take the pot out and replant things if something dies over the summer or in the hot heat of July or something. So this one is 4 feet long by 9 inches deep by about 7 inches tall, and it's made from solid cedar. So if I tip it up here, you can see that it has a brace in the middle and a solid cedar. This is a 1x6, solid cedar plank in the back, solid cedar plank in the front, 1x6 as well. And then it has a little bit of a gap in the bottom of the 2 boards that make up the bottom to let the water run out. And I've only painted the top part and the sides and the front. You can see on the back, I haven't painted that. I did paint the bottom. And all of the holes are plugged with screw plugs, and all the screws that I use are the triple coated deck screws, so they're exterior. You might notice the screws in the bottom here. For our house, to kind of fit our style, I also built these corbels, and they go like this. They go on the bottom, just like this, and that's where it rests. And then that matches, we have corbels on the outside of our house, which you'll see in some of the pictures that I put up as well. So these screw down through the top into the down through the bottom into the top of these corbels, and they sit up against the house. These really don't have any structural purpose, they're just decorative. So there are 2 of them, 1 on each side. There's a little bit of that 3-leaf pattern carving in here, and then I painted it black. So this is the painted version, the final version. You could also leave it just solid cedar, natural color. This is what that would look like. This is one that I built that is just natural cedar. I still carved it out and put that leaf pattern in there and painted it. All these holes are still plugged. This one I think looks nice, very nice. The only problem with this, oh, and by the way, this is the corbel for that as well. That would go right underneath there. So cedar is naturally a beautiful wood. The only problem is it won't look like this unless you keep a lot of finish on it to protect it from the sun. Otherwise, just like most woods, it will silver, meaning it turns kind of grayish silver. And the sun does that. It is, by the way, only the sun, because I have a solid cedar swing in our backyard that I built. And after like 8 years, I lifted it up because the top had silvered. I lifted it up, and the whole bottom of it was still all this kind of natural orangey cedar color, because the sun didn't shine down there and weather it or silver it. So that's really it. When the sun hits it, that's what happens. So this is really just an example of what a natural would look like. I most likely will paint this one white, because I think that protects it nicely as well. So let's get on with the build for this. Alright, so this is kind of the build for this. We'll start with these 2 pieces here. And this is a 1x4 cedar, 48 inches long. This is a 1x6 cedar that is 48 inches long. And then these become the bottom boards. And for everything that I'm doing on here, I will drill these out with a 3/8 inch Forstner bit, so that the screws will go up inside of there, only about halfway through, about 3/8 of an inch through. You will notice that my cedar has one side that is sanded and one side that is rough, So it allows you to do whatever style kind of fits your design. So you could use a rough pattern if you wanted to. I just put that on the bottom because I like the smooth inside and the smooth for the front. So you have two bottom pieces. Then you have a back piece that sits in here like this. This is 46.5 inches long. And so that gives just a little bit on the end here of an overhang. And then, so that's the back piece. And then you have three pieces that go like this. Go around this side here. Three pieces that give it a little bit of support this way. And then this is your front that goes on here. And you can see that I've also left just a little bit, let this set back just a little bit, probably about 1/2 inch there. And then I have these 1x2s, these pieces that I use for kind of the cap here to make this look like the bottom. There's a little bit of an inset, and then these two little pieces go here like that. And like this over here. So that's really it. We have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces that build this, or that make this. And it's all made with these triple coated deck screws. And these happen to be the Torx head or the lobe head. These are a number 9 screw, and I use a couple different sizes of them. I think I have a 1.5 and a 2 inch, just so they go down inside there. And then really the only other thing that we have would be the corbels. And these are made out of 4x4 material that is solid cedar again, and a 2x4. So this has a piece of 4x4 cedar, and these are 45-degree cuts here, leaving about 2 inches on the front here, so you have just a little bit of a chamfer there all the way around. And then this goes all the way back, and then this is a whole piece of a 2x4 chamfered here as well. And then this is a 4x4 just cut at 45s so that it fits right up in there and makes that brace like that. This is held together with just screws as well. 2 screws here, 2 screws here, and that's really it. This holds together nicely, and then this fits underneath and it gets screwed down through it into here. And we have 2 of these on each side. Okay, so let's start, we'll look at these pieces a little bit closer. Alright, so you can see on the top pieces here, I've just chamfered the edges here, and here, and here, and also right here. And on the bottom I do that as well. So for this piece that goes over here, once I apply this with the screws here, I will just take a simple block plane and run that along here just to chamfer it a little bit. I do it on the top and the bottom and the back, just to give all of that a little bit of a chamfer, so if it ever gets hit or nicked, it's less likely to break out. All of the boards, like on the top here, and really all the boards, they're held together by these triple coated deck screws. And some are square drive, some are the lobe drive. And what I've done here is used a 3/8 inch Forstner bit, and that will drill out this nice clean hole here. And then I will use an 1/8 inch drill bit to drill all the way down through here. And then once that is done and the screw is in there, I will use a cedar screw plug. I cut this out of cedar so it matches, and we will put that in there and make sure we align the grain. We'll glue those in there, and then we will saw them off and put a chisel to them to make them perfectly flush before we paint. Alright, so let's start the assembly here. We have our 3 middle pieces and our back piece. I'm going to build the frame first. Everything has been pre-drilled. So keep our clutch on pretty low, probably about 3 or 4. The cedar is a pretty soft wood, so they'll sink in pretty fast if we're not careful. Pre-drilling really helps. After you dry fit. I'm not going to use any glue on these. I've found that there are times when you have to replace a board or two. I have squirrels sometimes that'll chew on the side of these, and I'll need to replace like the top boards or something, and it just makes it a little bit easier. Alright, so there's the front. I'm going to spin it around here. We'll put the back on. I've also marked these pieces on the ends with X's so I know what goes with what. So here's the box. So we have the front, and then this is where our plants, our pots will go with the plants in them. And now I will flip this upside down, and we will take our 2 bottom pieces. This one is for the back, so that one goes right here, and this one is for the front, so that one goes right here. Using 4 screws across the front and just 2 on the ends here. This holds together pretty well. Oops. And then this backboard lines up right here. And I leave just a tiny little gap, maybe like a 3/32 of an inch. Looks like it goes into about a 1/16 some places. Just to let the water run out of the inside, because you're going to water your plants and you want a place for that water to drain away. Alright, that's all of them. I'll flip it over. So this is how it's looking right now. The last thing we'll do is put kind of the decorative molding on the front of this here. That's just 4 screws across the front. And then these pieces of decorative molding, they will go right here on the side. Oops, this one is for this side. This one butts right up against there. Two screws hold this on. And 2 screws hold this side on. Okay, so that is the finished piece with the box built, the bottom installed, and the kind of banded molding running around it. So next let's cut some screw plugs and we will put the screw plugs in here. Alright, so once we have everything assembled, we're going to, I cut little plugs, screw plugs, and these are 3/8 inch screw plugs, so they're cut with this screw plug cutter. And this is what comes out, a slightly tapered plug out of the wood that you made your piece with. And all I will do is roll it a little bit in glue on this separate piece of wood. Line up the grain. And just push it in. You can tap it with a hammer if you want, or the end of your chisel. And then we'll clean up all the extra glue around there. And then I would usually wait a little bit, maybe an hour or two for this to dry, but let's just do it right now. I'll cut a piece of paper with a hole in it like this and set it over here to protect my wood. And then with a flexible dovetail saw, we'll just cut that off. And that cuts it pretty smooth, but what I'll do is I'll take a chisel like this. This is a 1.5 inch chisel, and then we'll just shave it off. And that should be good. I usually hit it with just a little bit of really coarse 60 grit sandpaper. Just like that. That helps to kind of mar up or scuff up the top to accept the paint evenly. But that's it. So we'll do that to the rest of these and make them all nice and flush, getting it ready to paint. Before we do the final, or before we start painting though, I will do let's build the corbels first.